isn't it? I've heard about people, by the way, now I'll get on to my lesson. I've heard about people, surgery, how they have the headache problem a lot of times before surgery or after surgery. And they say a lot of times it's the caffeine withdrawals because they've been told, from the night before you got to fast and, can't have anything to eat or drink. And if you're used to having coffee like I am, by the time you get to the hospital, you're ready for a surgery, you got a headache from the lack of caffeine. But kind of bad. But anyway, it's the way it is. Thank you all for letting me come and speak. I'm Dave Hogan. I'm Church Relations Officer over at Mount Dora Children's Home. And I know most of you don't need any introduction to the Children's Home because I know many of you have supported us for years, and this congregation has been such a faithful supporter, and we appreciate that. You guys always support us for the benefit dinners we do every year. So we do want to thank the elders here, want to thank the congregation, for the support that South Trail has always given us for so many years. And my friend Bobo here is largely responsible for our upcoming dinner that we started. Bob, how many years has this been now? But it's been what, 6, something? I lose track. Okay, 5 or 6 years. And when Bob first approached us about doing a dinner here in Sarasota, it was like, we're doing enough dinners. We don't really need another one, thank you. But we gave it a try. Bob was very persuasive. And honestly, we have tried this in a couple other markets, and it didn't really work. Trying to start one up where there's not a tradition of doing a dinner is not always easy. But boy, for the very first year, we've had a great turnout here. Of course, COVID, has knocked the numbers down some, but it has everywhere. But it's coming back. And so we have our next benefit dinner in Sarasota at the Carlisle Inn, behind Der Dutchman. How many of you have been to one of our dinners? I suspect quite a few. Okay, I'm talking to the choir here. So, yeah. So most of you know all about this. But January 14th, if you go ahead and mark that on your calendars, and I believe Bob has tickets, I believe now. And so anytime you want to go ahead and sign up, you can do so. So we look forward to seeing you there. The format will be similar to last year in that our president, Dr. Brian Mast, will be there and kind of officiating, and we'll have one of our single mothers kind of share her story of how her life, what it was like before she came to the children's home, what it's like now, and how the home has helped her. And also we have a high school girl who will be sharing her story as well. So I think you'll enjoy the evening a lot. And besides, who doesn't enjoy the food at Der Dutchman, right? And so it's always good. Bob and I always felt that was half the secret of our success with this dinner was where we decided to hold it. We were at Der Dutchman first before they built the Carlisle, but then we changed it. Now, again, I know most of you are very familiar with our home, and if you haven't been there, how many of you have been on our campus at some point? All right, quite a few. I would encourage the rest of you, we're north of Orlando, so if you're coming over that direction for any reason, make a point, call me, call one of us on the staff, just call the main office and say, hey, coming through town, can you show me around? And we're happy to stop what we're doing and show you where the kids live and kind of what the campus is about. Now, these days, because of security, we have an academy there too, so it's not as easy just to drive up, unannounced and walk around. During school days especially. So it is best to call ahead, get a tour, because otherwise someone's going to probably approach you and wonder who you are, because you're supposed to have a visitor's tag and all that, if you're on campus. But we have to watch out for the kids and their safety these days. And unfortunately, that's just the world we live in, right? But there may be a few of you in the room who are not that familiar with us, maybe someone who's new to the area, I don't know. And so just by way of a short introduction, we've been around since 1945. And it's always been affiliated with Churches of Christ. And by that, I mean, it's always been supported by members of the Churches of Christ, not really only here in Florida, but through Alabama and even up into Tennessee. And I think we got a couple of supporting churches in Kentucky even. So we have very wide support. I think it's more than 200 churches that support us. And then, of course, individual donors. So we appreciate all of you and for what you've done for us over the years. We're near downtown Mount Dora, and most of you know our story, but the land back in 1945, Mount Dora wasn't trendy like it is now, and that land was in tax arrears, and we picked it up for $2,500, 70 acres, just within walking distance of downtown, and that was a great deal. We certainly feel God's hand was in that, and so So it's been under that. And one unique model we had from the very start, by the way, was to have an academy and a children's home on the same campus. Our founding fathers felt that was a good idea, and it's proven to be an excellent idea. And as far as we know, that model is still unique, at least within our brotherhood. I don't know, haven't done the research beyond that, but within Churches of Christ, we're not aware of another children's home that has a full-fledged academy on the same campus with it. That gives our kids some advantages. We don't have to put them on a bus and ship them off to a public school and kind of lose control over them, what they're being taught, who they're associating with, during the day. So it gives us a lot of advantages working with the children in the children's home. I'll talk a little more about the academy later in the presentation. The mission has of course, remained the same all through those years, and we're there to educate the children. That's where the academy comes in, but also to equip and empower them to be successful adults, to be to love God, to believe in Jesus, and to be a follower and to know His church. So all the kids in the program, of course, attend church and involved in youth group and that type of thing while they are with us, and we think that's very important. We have two programs now. Originally it was just the traditional children's home, what we now call residential group care. This is what you normally think of when you think of a children's home. It's the dorms. And so, we have a dorm program, but our larger program now by far is our single parent program that we began, 12 years or so ago. And this program has proven very successful because there is such a large demand or need for this type of service out there. There are a lot of single moms who are struggling to get by and just need some help. And a lot of times it's not just financial, it's emotional help. They are just kind of at wit's end. They're dealing with a lot of issues, from their past and from their present, and they need help. And so we have a program where they can come and live on our campus for a minimum of 2 years. We provide housing, utilities, and all that for them. And it's been a wonderful program. I'll go into a little more detail on that in a future slide. The beauty of that is that we are reaching 2 generations at once, because we're not only bringing in the single mother, but we're bringing in her children. And so once the kids are on campus, we treat them just as if they were in the dorm. So they go to the academy, they go to the youth group, they do all the things that our kids in the home and the residential care program do. And here's the nice thing too, we don't have to recruit house parents, which has proven to be very difficult these days. I have a slide about that later, but if you know of anyone, or if any of you have an interest in being a house parent, we are looking for couples now. Actually, we could use, I think, a couple of sets of house parents, but we need one very urgently. And so that has been an increasing challenge to find folks who are willing to take on that ministry. And it really is a ministry to be house parents at a children's home. A wonderful ministry, but it takes the right person or couple. Over that, 77 years, since 1945, we served more than 1,600 children through the residential group care program. And since the single parent program has started, we've already served 147 single parents. And by the way, 146 of them have been single moms, but we did do one single dad. And so we do call it the single parent program because we are certainly open to either situation where there's a need. We have single dads. Some of you probably heard Neil. I think he spoke maybe at one of the dinners, either here or in Tampa. Was it here? Okay. Yeah, Neil is doing really well, by the way, right now. He did remarry and got back into his old profession. But his wife was killed tragically, accident at work. And they had 2 small children, and Neil was just kind of deer in headlights, what I do next. And again, it was emotional, what to do with the children. Just he felt he was not equipped to handle all that, and so he needed some help. And so Neil's doing great now. He's still, by the way, a wonderful thing, just on his own accord, and never had anyone else to do this, but he took it upon himself to take some of our coin cans. You're familiar with the coin cans we use. And he takes them around to some of the 7-Eleven stores there in the Mount Dora area. And he manages the program, and he goes and puts them down, goes back and checks them, picks them up when they're full, and puts some new ones out for us. So Neil, that's his way of showing appreciation for what the program did to him. But anyway, so we are open to both single moms and single dads. The number one objective with both of our programs is, of course, to help these, we call them residents, the people who are going through our program, whether they're children or adults, to develop a stronger relationship with God. Now, they come in, particularly the adults, the single moms, come in at different levels. Some of them have a fairly strong faith background. It just needs reinforced, and they need some help. but encouragement. Others come in who really have no church background and don't know the first thing about that. And particularly, of course, the kids, most of them do not come from a church family. And so we are there to help them build a stronger relationship with God. We have, I think, a decent track record with the children, especially of being baptized while they're in the program. But we've had several of the single moms, too, baptized while they have been going through the program with us. And again, we encourage all of them. It's an expectation, actually, not just an encouragement, that they be in church. The single moms, their kids, and the dorm kids as well. But we do a lot of other things, too. Again, we have counselors, we have social workers, we have staff that will help them with emotional problems, with dealing with abuse or addictions, things like that, whatever they have in their background. Self-esteem issues sometimes is a big one. Fighting depression and anxiety. A lot of issues that either the single mothers face or the kids face, and so we have staff to help them deal with all those issues. And again, then the more, I guess, day-to-day practical stuff, of course, the kids, again, do get education at the academy. That's paid for by the Children's Home, which, of course, means through donations, books and supplies, sports and outings, all those sorts of things, so the kids can have a normal experience. We want the kids in the Children's Home program to fit in, to not, they don't need to show up at school or at church in rags or to be identified as the Children's Home kids. So we want them to blend in. So we want them to have the opportunity to go on outings with the youth group and to do things the school does, just like the other children, so they can be well adapted and accepted there. Let me give you some examples. This is a young man named Jaron who came to us. I guess he was about to start high school, around that age, 15 or so, when he came to us. His mother was in the single-parent program. And Jaron was always one of those young men. I remember when he would be on campus, if I'd walk past him, he'd always stop. Hello, Mr. Hogan, how you doing? He was very polite and enjoyed talking to adults, which is unusual for teenagers, as you know. And I always seemed like Jaron had a little something extra. Jaron went on to go to college, probably the first one in his family to do so, and graduated with a degree and is now in graduate school in North Carolina, training in cybersecurity. So it's a great field, and he actually wants to get his doctorate and teach cybersecurity at the university level, which, of course, is a growing field these days. So Jaron has done extremely well. He's obviously a bright young man, and is going to have a good future, and has started certainly on this path at the Children's Home. And by the way, Jaron, probably like most of the kids I'm going to show you who are in college or have been recently, we have a scholarship program, which again is funded by donors, but we have a scholarship program for the kids at the Children's Home because most of them don't come from families that are either able or willing to help their kids go through college, financially. Many of them don't have a tradition. The parents didn't go to college and maybe don't have as much appreciation for the value of that. And so we set up a scholarship fund several years ago to help these kids get through college. And Jaron is one of the recipients of that program, so it helped him to go. It's certainly not an all expenses paid, nothing like that, but it certainly helps to go toward his, whatever other financial aid he gets from the university to be able to afford college. And we work with them on their FAFSAs, and if you're a parent, you know what a FAFSA is, where the kids have to apply for financial aid, and we help them work through all that in their application process with universities. Jeremiah is another young man that came through our program. Jeremiah and two brothers that came with him as well had come from a very rough background in Atlanta and kind of a downtown urban type environment. The mother was very concerned about the boy's future, and they were getting to the point where kids were offering them drugs and wanting them to join gangs, and it was a tough environment. She knew she needed to get something better for her boys, or it wasn't going to turn out well. And Jeremiah was one of those young men, and he came to us and really was got kind of turned on spiritually, wanted to be a preacher. So he went to Faulkner University, but he just wasn't academically strong, and that wasn't the right thing for him. So he washed out at Faulkner. Well, you might think, end of story. No, he joined the Marines and has done a wonderful job, has married now, has a little boy you can see there in the picture. And what I love to see, I'm Facebook friends with Jeremiah, and it's cool how he posts scriptures. So I know he's still got that spiritual love, his love for God in him. I don't know a lot of detail about Jeremiah and where he's at and what his future is going to be, but he's certainly on a great path. He married, by the way, into a good family. And so we're excited for Jeremiah. Now, I mentioned the single parent program. It has its own set, of course, of outcomes. And you can imagine, by the way, this slide, does it sound like a social worker slide? Are you social workers? Yeah, this is social worker talk, right? Outcomes. But, what we're trying to say is what do we want to happen, when the single moms go through our program? And again, number one is that stronger relationship with God. That's most important, to us to see. But we also, there's some practical things. We teach them about managing money. Many of them come in, this is their problem. They're in debt, they have low credit scores, they don't know how to keep a budget, and so there are issues there. Of course, the number one financial issue most of them have is simply lack of income. Because they got kids to support, they're making near minimum wage type jobs, and they just can't support themselves. So one of the things we try to do there, in addition to helping them with money management skills, is to help them get training, to go to tech school or community college, wherever it may be, but to get a skill or a certificate where they can go and get a better paying job. And we've had good success with that. Parenting skills, too. Again, if you come from a good, Christian home, it may just kind of be second nature. You know how to raise your kids, perhaps, maybe. But, a lot of these young ladies come from dysfunctional families themselves. They're part of a cycle that keeps repeating, generation to generation. And they need help. They really don't know how to parent their kids, and they certainly don't know how to be a Christian mom to their kids. Simple concepts like, reading Bible stories to your kids, say prayers at bedtime, those kind of rituals that we have for our children or grandchildren. A lot of them, that's foreign to them. They haven't done that or ever been exposed to it. So we try to teach them those basic skills so they can be a better parent and, of course, a better Christian mom to their children. Life skills, can take a lot of things, but again, sometimes it's how to dress for work, even hygiene issues, And so we have to work with them on wherever they are and wherever their set of problems are. They're all unique. Sheena is one a success story. She's in the program now, but about to graduate. Sheena is building a home through Habitat for Humanity, and so we're so excited for her. As I said, the moms are usually with us for 2 years minimum, and during that time, we encourage them to save money. And it's usually like, the basic idea is, okay, you got to pay, when you get out here, you got to pay first month, last month, deposit, that sort of thing and then hook up for utilities. So we say, you need a nest egg. Well, Sheena went a little further than that, saved more. She had a pretty good job, so she's been able to work while she was in the program, and she saved enough money that she was able to make a down payment on a house and qualify for a mortgage. So we're excited for Sheena. She's hoping to move in actually around Christmas time. Not sure if it'll be quite Christmas, but close to it. She's actually the second single mom in our program, too. Kim Johnson was another one that built a brand new home. And, again, it's hard to underestimate how exciting this is, what a step this is for someone in Sheena's position or Kim's position who has struggled just to maintain an apartment, for them and their kids, and a roof over their head of any type, to have, the American dream, to own her own home. And that stability that provides to the children is a huge step in building self-esteem and also just building a more solid family unit going forward. Rebecca is actually the single mom that's going to be at the Sarasota dinner. So you'll hear more from her and get to meet her at the Sarasota dinner. But she is in the program now, again, kind of think nearing her end point, sometime this coming year. But Rebecca is been going to college while she's in the program. She already has some credits, toward college, and was able to see an end to that. So she is actually finishing her degree work in December. Won't get her degree. I don't think she'll walk until next May, but she'll be finished with her program. And is trying to decide whether to stop there or go to graduate school herself. But she's interested in doing counseling. She comes from an abused background. Had a husband who abused her. And so she wants to work with other abused moms as a counselor. And so that's the path that she is looking toward taking in the future. And I think you'll enjoy hearing more about her story. There are lots of ways you can sort of keep track of Mount Dora Children's Home. If you're not doing this already, I'm sure many of you probably are. We have a website, as you can see here at mdchome.org. You can always look at it. Probably the best way, in my opinion, to keep up with this, we have a monthly email that goes out. And it's always chock full of news on what's going on at the children's home. And occasionally, if we have something special to say, we'll put out a special alert. But we don't, drown your email inbox. It's generally once a month. And if you're not on that list now, just see me afterwards. If you would, just write your name and email address on a slip of paper and hand it to me, and I'll make sure you get added to the list. It's free, of course, and you can unsubscribe whenever you want to get off of it, but I think you'll enjoy the email. We also have a Facebook page for those of you who do that, and we have Instagram, too. We don't post as often there, but we're quite active on our Facebook page, so if you want to follow us there, go ahead and do so. And then these are numbers, too, if you need to reach out to us at any time. We're always, of course, one of the reasons, in fact, I go out and talk at churches is we want to make people know we have these two programs. If you know of a family that maybe has a need, either a single-parent family that is struggling at kind of wit's end, or if it's a family of children where they're going through some hard times right now, they need a better place to put their children. Give us a phone call, particularly social services for those types of calls. We call them referral calls, but call the church. I will say, particularly in the single-parent program, I guess on the kids too, but single-parent program, we have found that the young ladies who come from a church referral tend to do the best because they've got a church family behind them that's rooting for them, and it's going to be there for them even when they get out of the program. You actually have one right here in the county, a young lady named Ashley, who I think also maybe spoke at a dinner here in the area in the past. Ashley was referred to us by the Central congregation here in Sarasota. And Rod and Brenda Myers took a personal interest in Ashley and her little daughter Iris. And it's not uncommon even now, and Ashley's been out of the program a couple years. She still comes over here once in a while when she has a long weekend or something and spends the night with Rod and Brenda. So that type of relationship can make a world of difference for a single mom that maybe doesn't have a good biological family, background. Okay, so you can be her family, and so we really encourage referrals from you guys. Okay, I was mentioning we need house parents right now, so this is my little promo slide for that, in case I didn't mention it before. So we need house parents. So if you're interested in that or know someone who is, come and see us. It's hard to say exactly what the best profile is for that. We've found generally, we're open to anyone that wants to apply for the job, of course, but very young couples, like we've had some come to us in their early 20s and like out of college, they're not ready yet. They're not mature enough in parenting because, these kids come from tough backgrounds and they're not going to be, they're going to challenge you. So it takes a little bit of a combination of love and toughness, to manage these kids. And then, same way too, sometimes we get retired couples. And again, we're open to anyone, but that can be hard too because it's been a long time since you raised kids, and these kids will be more difficult probably than your own children may have been to raise. But if you know of anyone, we're certainly open to it. Now, I said I wanted to talk to you for just a minute too about the academy. Now, I might say we keep separate budgets for the school and for the home, and money we raise through our church contributions and through the dinners all goes to the home budget. But nevertheless, the academy plays a very important role in the life of the kids in the children's home. And so it does all work together. And I think our founding fathers had a great idea to put these together on one campus. Our school has really grown. We're up to close to 800 students. When I came there in 2014, when I first took this job, we're around 500. So it's grown a lot just in that period of time. It's an excellent school. It's very well regarded in the local area. I guess it's the largest private school in the greater Mount Dora area. And they said we're the only national blue ribbon school. This is a national recognition program through the Department of Education. We're the only school in Lake County to receive this recognition, public or private. And we strive for excellence in all we do in athletics and in in academics. The kids from the home program, of course, most of them do attend. Now, I'd say most because Sometimes either the children don't qualify academically. There are certain tests they have to meet to get into our school. Sometimes they don't qualify. We'll try to work with them. We have tutors and things. It might be that it takes a year in public school to get them up to level where they can come over to our campus. Other kids have special needs, and we're just not equipped like the public schools are to deal with all the various special need children. So, again, it's a case-by-case situation. But certainly, vast majority of the kids in the home program and single-parent program all attend our academy on campus. There are daily Bible classes, daily chapel, and so they're being exposed to good information and inspiration on a daily basis there. And, of course, they're being taught by Christian teachers and coaches, and this can make a world difference to the kids. Again, many of them have not had good adult role models. I might add, especially, many of them have never had good male adult role models. And so having a coach or a teacher, to befriend one of these kids and whatnot can really be impactful for the children. Jeremiah, by the way, that I mentioned earlier, was one of those. He was a very good athlete. He was pretty poor in the classroom, but he was a good athlete. And he was on the football team. Was kind of one of our stars the year he was there, or years he was there. And he really connected with some of the coaches in the program and probably had a big impact on his life. And then we do, of course, give them guidance on their future careers and on where to go to college, if they go to college or trade school, wherever they do. Graduates in the program, I think this is important, too, to recognize the impact that the school has had on the church community, particularly in Florida. I don't know if anyone is here is maybe a graduate or attended the academy at some point. Did anyone here go to Mount Dora Christian Academy? Okay. Well, it's not unusual when I go to churches to have some hands go up. Our graduates scatter out throughout the church community. They tend to be good, stable church members because of the background they've had. Many of them, eventually become Sunday school teachers, nursery directors, deacons, elders eventually, or even we've had some become ministers from the program. And so I think we have a good impact on the church community in Florida just having the academy here. And it's also a mission field. The vast majority of our students now and in the past too, but probably even more now, are not from Church of Christ backgrounds. Some are from other Christian faiths. Some are from really no faith at all, or from even non-Christian faiths. We occasionally have a Muslim student or whatever to attend there because, well, you think, well, why would they attend a Christian school? Well, if the parents have a job there in the community, they still want values being taught to their kids, right? And our value system is probably similar to what any other faith. It's Jewish, Muslim, whatever. We all have similar values that we teach, and we all teach belief in God. And so they want their kids in that kind of environment versus public schools. So my point is, we do get a diverse mix of kids on our campus, and that's a mission opportunity for us, to reach out to these kids and try to share the gospel with them and to have an impact on them going forward. This is our class of 22 that graduated last May. I like that first statistic there down at the bottom. Community service hours, 5,664, I believe it says. Community service hours logged. That's a lot. All children who go through the academy, or high school kids, are required during their high school years to log community service hours every year. And then they have to have so many in order to graduate. And so that's an important part of teaching them about the value of helping other people and community service. Scholarships awarded, you see last year's class got $2.4 million in scholarship money. And vast majority, by the way, I think it's well over 90% of the kids do go into some sort of secondary education, be that state college or four-year university. There are plenty of ways that you can help us. Let me get a sip of this. Our Change for Children program I mentioned earlier, the coin can program, is a very active program. Easy to do, probably one of the easiest things for the church because you put the cans out, remind people a few times, during the weeks they have it, set a deadline, and coin cans come back full, and it's easy. And some people say these days, well, I don't really carry much change anymore, so it's not for me. Well, that little slot at the top, if you're skillful about it, you can put dollar bills in there, you can put checks in there, put gift cards. So, fill it with whatever you wish that has value, and we'll take it. And that's fine. And honestly, I know I have to say my own church at Orange Avenue and at Eustis, we set a goal one year. We wanted everybody to raise a minimum of $25 in their cans. So like, don't bring it back till you got $25. I wasn't doing too well myself. I just wrote a check for $25 and stuck it there and turned it in. I didn't want to bother with it. So you do it however you want to do it. Actually, I like that because the cans are a lot lighter. If you get a box full of those cans, they're all filled with coins. They're heavy, all right? So checks are fine. So that's one program we do. Monthly giving has been increasingly popular. I think people are just accustomed. They pay their bills monthly. They get paid monthly or semi-monthly. And they save money. They make investments for their retirement, whatever, on a monthly basis. It's just easier. Because a lot of people, end of year, they want to give to our cause. So, well, I'd like to write a bigger check, but I just can't. Just give you a simple example. Maybe a family can't pay $300 at one time to help the children's home, but could they give $25 a month? That's $300 a year. So it makes it easy to give to us, and maybe more than you would have given otherwise, if you do that. And so that program is available. It's automatic sign up. You can do it through your bank or bill pay, however you want to set it up. But we have a growing list of people who give monthly. We like that because it gives us a more predictable cash flow, too, coming into the children's home. Giving Tuesday, I think I have another slide on this. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Donate the vehicle program is a good program. I typically, now, we have an exception this week because the car I normally drive is in the shop. But I typically drive when I'm going out on errands like this, a car that was donated to us. And so, we're appreciative of that. Now, most of the cars don't get used for staff purposes, but are sold. So, if you submit a car to us, we'll put it up for a bid and sell it, and use the proceeds for the home. And by the way, we say vehicle and not car because we take, of course, trucks, we take boats, we take RVs, motorcycles. We've had all sorts of vehicles donated to us over the years. As long as it's in good running order, and you can get it to us, we can probably sell it. So keep that in mind. Sometimes this comes up when someone passes away. Grandpa passes and his car is in the garage and no one really needs it anymore, and so we wind up with those cars. So however that works is good. The planned giving program at the very bottom of the page is again one that's growing in importance. Fewer people these days are just giving a check, but many times they're giving assets. They have appreciated stock. They want to give to us. They have real estate. They have different ways they want to give. Or they're looking for special tax advantages. Or they're looking for income during retirement and want to do something good for the children's home. So we have programs for all those sorts of things. There's what's called a charitable annuity. A lot of you, if you're retirement age, you know what an annuity is. But there's a charitable annuity. It's similar to what you might do through an insurance company or financial firm, but in this case, you give us a lump sum of money, and we agree to pay you so much per month for life. So same setup as you might get through an insurance company, but the difference is at the end of the line, when you pass with a regular annuity, guess who gets the proceeds? The insurance company, right? In our case, whatever residual is left in the account, when you pass, goes to the children's home program. So it's a good opportunity for you. The interest rates on those are pretty high right now. They've gone up, of course, recently, like all the other interest rates. So there's a number of programs. That's just one example. There's a bunch of things you can do through what we call planned giving. There's all sorts of charitable trust you can set up. There's donor-advised funds, or DAFs, or a growingly popular way to do that. So keep those in mind. I did mention Giving Tuesday is coming up November 29th. This is a national day of giving, and it's done primarily through Facebook and online channels, email. But you'll be hearing from us about this if you're on our Facebook page or email, and it's a chance to give to the program. We do this every year. Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Again, just want to encourage you to come to the dinner. And Bob and others will be talking that up here in the weeks ahead, but January 14th is a Saturday night, and I hope to see you there. Any quick questions? I think that was the first bell. We got a minute for questions. Absolutely, yes. And yes. We take up a donation, of course, that night, but tickets are free to attend. Might also add, too, Bob, that we're always looking for sponsors. We'd like to get enough sponsors, like from businesses, or it can be congregations, for that matter, that will underwrite the cost of the meal. Because we have to pay, of course, Carlisle Inn for the food and the room. And so if we could have that cost covered before we walk in that night, then we know, and we can say, everything raised here tonight goes, 100% to the children's home. And that's nice to be able to say. So if any of you have a business again, if the congregation wants to do this as a whole, but we are always looking for sponsors for the event. Anything else? Thank you all. Hope that was informative for you. We'll see you at the dinner.